Today's episode is brought to you by MRC, a branding studio hailing out of Raleigh, North Carolina, where they focus on crafting killer design work for clients that love uber creative solutions for companies small and large. You can find and connect with them online at mrcraleigh.com. That's MRCRALEIGH, and at MRC Raleigh on Instagram. The good news is, if you find yourself reaching out, you'll most likely get to chat with yours truly. That's right, it's my little branding co, and we're here to make your brand or idea look amazing. So let's connect. On to the episode.
Recorded at the Kitchen Studios. This is the Pencil Pushers Podcast.
Welcome, folks, to the Pencil Pushers Podcast, where I, your humble host, Mike Rosado, talk to some of the movers and shakers in the hand-drawn arts about their craft, their careers, and then some. Today, we speak with uber-talented Eisner Award-nominated independent comic book artist Matt Lesniewski. Listen in as we talk about his brand spanking new graphic novel, Static, which I got an early copy of in advance of our chat, and let me tell you, it does not disappoint. We also talk about what it's like to work as an indie comic artist, tips on how to stay motivated, how he approaches his craft, and even got deep about what it's like living the life of an artist in today's world. It's something we all know way too well, so it was great to connect so openly about it. Matt was a blast to chat with, and I'm already looking forward to our next hang. So without further ado, do yourself a favor. Find him now on Instagram at MattDrawsComics while you sit back, relax, and listen in on our chat with Matt. Everybody, we are here with Matt Lesniewski. Am I pronouncing your last name correctly, sir?
Yes.
Awesome. Welcome to the Pencil Pushers Podcast, man. A pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Matt is an Eisner Award nominee, a comic creator, author, and artist. And we're just going to dig into it. I had been perusing around on Instagram to, as one does, particularly artists love going around checking out other people's work. And Matt's just really stood out to me as one that just was very dynamic, engaging to look at. And me as an artist, it was wonderful to just like kind of dive into the rabbit hole that is your work, Matt. So really, really cool to see and to have you here, but also to do this right before you're getting ready to launch your new graphic novel, which is called Static. I think it's supposed to have been launched this week, but am I wrong? And then I saw that there's a little bit of a delay.
Yeah, it was supposed to come out yesterday as of this recording, but there was a little mix-up and with shipping or something like that. So May 12th.
May 12th, okay.
It is kind of nice because there was a comic book shop release date, which was the 28th, and then bookstores was, I think, May something, but now they're all May 12th. So everybody can get it on the same day. So
nice.
Have to wait a couple more weeks, but at least that's the benefit to it.
Yeah, does that stress you out at all?
A little bit.
Right.
A little bit, because I'm telling everybody, hey, it's going to be out this day. Go get it. And even one person the other day, they said they were asking their retailer, hey, I want to order this. And the guy was telling them, no, it's not coming out that day. And they got into a little bit of a, I don't know if it was an argument, but it was,
right.
There was some confusion, and I'm like, oh yeah, I made one announcement about it, so now I had to make a whole new,
promotional announcement kind of thing.
Yeah, a whole bunch of new announcements on top of the old ones, like, hey, now it's coming out this day. Sorry.
Yeah, it is what it is. It's interesting, man. I have several questions to ask you about the life of what I would consider to be an independent comic book artist. Is that right? I mean, you're not necessarily tied to a specific But before we get into that, how is it for you as an independent comic book artist in terms of promoting your work? Do you have, Dark Horse is very well known as much as I know about them. How does that relationship with them, who could be deemed as one of the top sort of maybe independent comic book publishers, what is the relationship like in terms of promoting something that, you worked so hard to put together?
Yeah, I mean, well, they have their own, as I understand it. I mean, I've never been there. I've never been to the, Dark Horse headquarters.
Right.
Yeah. But as I understand it, they have a whole...
envision like giant Dark Horse statues, just like you have to climb 1,000 steps to get there.
Kind of like the horse chess piece, but just a giant statue.
Exactly,
that's in front of the building. That's
right.
That's what I picture. But as I understand it, they have their own marketing side of their whole company. Yeah. So, and they do, promote it. They have their own social media following, and they're getting it into different shops and that sort of thing. But I don't know how effective anything is, whether it's my own promotion or theirs. So I just, even these interviews, I don't want to do interviews, and it's not anything against you or anyone else. It's my own thing. I don't like putting myself out there. It's part of why I kind of built my life around being inside most of the time, and I'm alone drawing from things that come to my head. I'm just not that kind of person. So, but that's not a good enough excuse. So I tell myself, you have to challenge yourself, do whatever it takes. You work this hard on making it. Yeah. The other part of the job is getting the word out. So to your question, I imagine, it is definitely, it adds some validity to my work, I guess. It's, as you said, it's a big respected company. They've been around quite a long time. I don't know. Are people seeing it? Are they ordering it?
You'll find
I don't know.
out.
So I'm doing whatever I can to just spread the word, get it out there. I'm acting as if I'm self-publishing it, pretty much, to answer your question.
That's a great way to do it. I mean, artists in general, I think, are very used to being alone in a corner with the little lamp on, just working on their stuff. And
there it is.
Yeah, right, exactly.
There's the lamp. I'm in the corner. I'm in the corner right now.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, when I've had so many conversations with artists, not just on the podcast, but as friends, and colleagues, as it were, talking about, this idea of like many of us who go to art school are in, sort of like retrospectively kind of thinking about like, it's interesting how we don't at art school teach each other, or the schools don't teach us how to like handle the business side of things, quote unquote. Yeah. And it makes it even more difficult a lot of times for us to get over that hump, particularly if I'm assuming like maybe you probably are somebody who wants to just do artwork that's yours. Am I wrong in that? Rather than just doing like working for, doing comic books for Captain Marvel and stuff like that, or, whoever it might be.
Yeah. Like, for example, the next thing I want to do is another book of my own, completely. I might even do it black and white, just completely my own, go back to that. I mean, I would like to, at some point, maybe even if it's one book, one little mini series of something Marvel or DC, I think that would be cool. Those are the comics that I grew up reading and what initially got me into comics in general. But along the way, trying to break in, as they call it, I kind of realized that that's not really what I really want to do. It's not who I am. I discovered a different side of comics in that I can tell my own stories. I can come up with my own ideas, my own characters, and draw in my own way.
And was that the way it was from the beginning? Did you, like when you first started getting into comic books, that it was more in the direction of creating your own stuff, even from the beginning? Or were you thinking like, how cool would it be to do the classic superhero type stuff?
No, not at all. I didn't even know that was... I only knew comics as one thing. Yeah. I knew superheroes, and that was just about it. I mean, also some cartoony, I guess they would call them all ages comics. But yeah, it was mostly superheroes.
Yeah.
And I was just trying to be a penciler. That's all I wanted to do in the very beginning. I just wanted to learn how to be a penciler, not even inking. And as the years kept going on and I kept not getting anywhere, I kept learning more and discovering what I actually wanted to do. Like I even before trying to do that, I think it was around 5th grade, I was more of a writer. There were different phases. I was the drawer. Mm-hmm. Then I'm like, I'm over that now. Now I'm a writer. I'd just be doodling, or not doodling. I'd be scribbling down stories.
Ideas.
Just ideas and short stories that I dreamt up of my own characters, my own stories. So I did have some, element of that already that I worked on, but then I abandoned that pretty quickly. And then fast forward to right after high school, pretty much. I'm like, all right, now I'm gonna seriously try to be a penciler. All I gotta do a few sample pages, send them in, kick back and wait. It's gonna happen. And that's just not that's not reality. That didn't happen. And along the way, I'm like, all right, why don't I ink my own stuff? I learned that after 2-3 years, whatever it is. Then I'm like,
that's a whole other animal too.
Oh yeah, the inking side of it, you mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I'm still learning it. I'm still trying things.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm never going to arrive at, all right, did it. I figured everything out.
I made it, right.
Gonna, clean my hands and call it quits. But then I started kind of trying out my own stories. And just from doing 3 pages of my own thing, I kind of realized like, oh, I just did that. It's not terrible, it's not great, but I did it, and I proved it to myself that at least I could do that. Then I realized there's more to this story, and then I made it a one-shot. So, all right, I got 22 pages. All right, I can do this. So now it became something else. It wasn't, I'm just drawing superheroes, and I'm going to prove how I can do that, and they'll hire me, and that'll be my job. It became way more than that. Like, it just kept evolving over the years.
Now, how long have you been doing it now at this point? Professionally.
Actually, professionally, I guess you could say it's a little foggy, but I guess since 2018.
28. Oh, wow. Really? Okay.
Yeah.
How old do you know? Just if you don't mind me asking.
28.
28. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what was it was it basically you got to the point where you were able to complete a project? Like, was it a concerted effort where you said, you know what, it's time for me to take this bold step? Or was it just sort of like small steps along the way until you saw that you financially could make it work? Because I'm assuming you're full-time doing this, right?
Yeah. Yeah, now I am. Yeah. Are you asking more on the creative side or financially?
Well, just in general. Just in general. You're saying, you basically said that in 2018 is when you started doing it full time, right?
Yeah, but I probably shouldn't have. I mean, I was.
That's literally like 3 years ago.
Yeah. Well, technically, yeah. That's when I last had a day job. But for probably 2 years, I was really like just getting by pretty much. And I had to do other things to, like I would do commissions and some of it, honestly, I was just living off savings from past
jobs and stuff.
Day jobs that I had saved up because I'm brand new. So it's not like I have this huge audience built in.
Right.
So, and like we were talking about earlier, I don't know the business side. No one really pushes that. I'm kind of learning that as I go. Mm-hmm. So, like earlier on, my whole mindset was just, I'll just get good enough, I'll get in, and I'll figure it out when I get there.
Sure.
Which isn't smart, but that's also me at 20 years old or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Like that was, anytime that I'd kind of start looking into the business side of things, I would either lose focus because I didn't care. I don't care about that. Or I'd be like, why am I wasting my time with this? Every second I'm not doing art, I could be practicing, I could be getting better. And in my mind, if I'm good enough, that's all it takes. I'll just get good enough, and then that'll get my foot in the door somehow, some way. Right. Me knowing the business side is not, no one knows, like, it's not like I'm going to show a card. Look, I know the business.
Right.
You want me, right?
Yeah, kind of related to that. I mean, in sort of a meta type question, how do you know when you're quote unquote good enough to make it full time?
I'm nowhere near where I want to be as far as like skill level or the kind of work that I want to be making. But I'm most proud of.
Yeah.
I was able to make the books that I did make.
Yeah.
That's what I'm. Like, it's not necessarily, anything other than that. That's pretty much the main thing. Like, just the fact that I committed to it, I did it. These crazy ideas that came to my mind, I actually
made it come to fruition.
I created them, and I remember when doing 5 pages was an accomplishment. I remember doing that and being like, wow, that was. Feel like I just ran a marathon. Like, hey, I'm just, that took everything out of me.
Yeah.
And so to do a whole graphic novel, let's say, I'm proud of that. Whether people think it's good or not, it's just an opinion. So there's no right or wrong in art or stories. It's just people giving their opinion. It doesn't matter. So to me,
that's pretty huge that you're in that headspace, though. That you can be that objective, because I mean, a lot of artists can, it's so personal. Again, like kind of going back to that, being alone in a room with one lamp and a pencil and some ink and a paper. People can take it pretty personally if they say, you know what, I don't really like it that much.
I feel like you can't listen to the good or the bad too much. It doesn't. It really doesn't help me in any way. It just. I mean, if someone likes it, I really appreciate it, because I did. Yeah. The stuff that I wrote and drew, like Static and The Freak and some other things, if they like it and it connects with them in any way, I really appreciate it, because it is personal in that way. I'm putting my soul into it. Like, I'm drawing from personal stuff. It's not coming from nowhere. Yeah. So obviously it's made as, it's fiction. It's not. Things are exaggerated, things are added, I'm taking things out. I'm making a story. I'm making a comic book, so it's not autobio by any means, but
sure.
But it is my own creation. Yes. And I'm spending a year plus devoted to this thing. Yeah, it is a big deal. It is, but at the same time, if someone doesn't like it, well, it's just not for them. Maybe they like Spider-Man and that's it. That's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
So I got a chance to finish Static today, which is the new one that's coming out. And I loved it, man. Firstly, most of the work that I've seen of yours is black and white. And I gotta say, not your black and white work is fantastic, but I gotta give big props to the colorist Carlos Badia. Is that right?
Yes.
He did a fantastic job bringing the work to life, man, in that way. How did that all come together? How does a team like that come together in terms of putting a graphic novel like this?
Well, I actually the colors that I worked with on another book, Crimson Flower, Bill Crabtree. This story actually. How much time do we have?
You're good. You're good on time.
Okay. This actually goes all the way back to, I want to say, 2012.
Uh-huh.
And it's a series of people connecting each other. But basically, there's this guy who has a YouTube channel. His name is, I'll just give his YouTube channel, Sleepy Reader 666. And he's just this guy who gives his opinions on comics, but he has a really interesting insight on comics, and I just find it entertaining. And way back then, when I was still in the mindset of, I'm going to break in, I'm going to be a penciler, I found his channel, subscribed, and along the way, as I'm self-publishing my own stuff, I just thought, hey, why not send him see if he'll be interested in one of my comics. So I sent him one. He said he would take a look, and he put it on his channel, and he was kind of into it. So it starts with that. And fast forward to, I believe it's 2019, which is when I'm working on Static. But at this point, there's no publisher. I'm just working on the first chapter / issue, whatever you want to call it. And it's black and white, same as The Freak, but I want to get it colored. So I think on Twitter I post, hey, does anyone have a colorist or whatever I said. I don't remember. And he messaged me and said, I know this guy, Bill Crabtree. I think he would mesh really well with your style. So sure enough, I look him up. I'm like, okay, yeah, he's pretty good. So I reach out to him, and we're talking about, having him be a part, color this book.
Yeah.
I'm trying to kind of shorten the story because it's a long saga of how this happened. It's just
no worries, man.
It's really crazy, but it really does spawn all the way back from then. But so then he colors maybe, I don't know, 5 pages from the first chapter, and we're pitching it around together, seeing, hey, who's interested, or he knows somebody who knows somebody at Dark Horse, something like that. And
a couple degrees of separation.
Yeah. But so he gets us in the door to get it looked at. Okay. And that's how that happened. This is before Crimson Flower or any of that. Okay. And so gotcha. They are actually interested. One thing led to another, and it just wasn't working out. But they still wanted they still wanted it to be colored, but something wasn't working out with Crabtree. Yeah, it just wasn't working out, and we agreed. No bad blood in any way. Obviously, we worked on the other book down the road. It just didn't work out. So we both agreed, we'll just do something else another time. Sure. But the editor, Daniel Chabon, he knew Carlos, and he connected us for the book. Okay. And long story short, that's the most Cliff Notes version of the story I could give. So I don't know if that was interesting to anyone, but there you go. That's the real story.
It's great, man. One of the cool things about working in the creative industry is that it is a collection of really people that are in the same lane trying to make things happen and do some really cool stuff. And so you're always able to meet different people. I mean, you going to Comic Cons in general, and you're probably meeting people regularly who you could potentially even work with. So I mean, it's the nature of the business, and it's kind of cool. It's kind of a cool way to help get the word out about your work, you as an artist, and hopefully tangentially work with some of your favorite artists sometime in the future. So it's just the way it goes. So tell me about the book and the origin. Like, where did this start? Apparently you said you started in 2019, so this has been a long time coming.
Beginning of 2019. It was well, I did The Freak. That was like summer of 2018. Okay. Is when and then I finished like fall or whatever it was. Then I was doing this other book that just never happened. And I'm like, all right, I want to do more of my own stuff. I did The Freak. That worked out. The people who did see it seemed to like it, and like, all right, maybe I have a lane here. Maybe I'm not completely insane, because this whole time I have to kind of convince myself that I'm not delusional and I'm not an insane person. This isn't making any money. This isn't, not a lot of people are seeing it. This whole road, I have to keep telling myself this is going to work out, or this isn't a big waste of time. I'm sacrificing
everything,
not days, not weeks, years of life, just doing this nonsense that, luckily is starting to kind of work out in some way. But so then I'm getting the ideas. Like, usually I just start with, I'm just typing with no direction. I'm just kind of getting thoughts out. And sometimes I can pair that up with a character.
So you start out writing first?
Usually, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Or, well, yeah, it's usually I'll actually, really, I mean, it starts with like ideas and just usually it's like a dilemma. It's some kind of a dilemma or like
Sure.
an idea that I want to explore.
Conflict or,
Yeah, and I can use the story and characters to explore that dilemma or idea. And I'm not looking to preach any kind of a moral thing, or I'm just making the thing that I'm making, and whatever it becomes, that's what it is.
Yeah.
So that's what it started with. Same with The Freak. The idea and the character all, I guess it's luck. I don't know. They just came together at once, and this character that is coming to my head matches this dilemma or this scenario or whatever you want to call it. And from there, I can make a story based on those two things.
Yeah, and I suppose at that point, it does make things a lot easier to world build from there, because you have your dilemma and your main protagonist, right? And then from there, that's kind of where the fun would begin, I would guess. I mean, when you're mapping out a story, do you think about like, here's what's going to happen in the beginning, the middle, and the end? But for you, it's more about this one person or group of people and this specific situation or dilemma, as you say, and how do they deal with that throughout the journey? And so there's sort of like, it's sort of unfolding as it goes along with you and the characters, I guess, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like a trained writer, or I've gone
Sure.
to no school of, I don't know what the proper way is or
Yeah,
what you're
right.
supposed to do. Eventually it does get to a place where I'm breaking it down with how many chapters or issues I think it'll be, and an ending
Okay.
that I have in mind. It does become more structured.
Yeah.
And then I also have to give a shout out, Grant McLaughlin. I'm never good with name pronunciations, but he actually helped me through the whole story. He's actually in the credits of the book as well.
Oh, yeah, Grant McLaughlin, yeah, McLaughlin.
Yeah, same thing with the colorist thing. I just tweeted, I don't remember what it was, but he helped me with The Freak as well. He just kind of looks it over, and he's like a second set of eyes and helps me just make sure that this isn't completely insane whenever
Yeah.
or he makes it yeah. He just kind of nudges me in the right direction and that kind of thing. So I do have him to thank as well.
Nice.
He's a part of the process.
Yeah, so are you like me, where you get excited as you're building, that you want to share it with others? Or do you keep things kind of insulated and then only share it to a couple specific peers to get, maybe some professional quote unquote eyes on it, but don't want to share it with friends and family yet?
I mean, I get I get excited just on my own, privately,
Yeah.
no one's seeing it. Like I'll figure out this one little piece, this one little puzzle piece of a story, and it's like, I don't know, I might get more excited for that than drawing, because I find writing to be way more challenging. I've been drawing my whole life, so it's not like I'm great or anything, but
Yeah.
I kind of, it's like a kid who's been swimming from the beginning. He knows how to swim.
Yep.
But let's say you started riding a bike at age, 22 or something.
Right.
When you're really getting the hang of it, it's like, oh, wow, I'm doing this. This is exciting. So with writing, if I can even figure out a piece of a story that I think is
Compelling.
a really good piece to that puzzle, I'm just thrilled by that. I'm like, oh, where did that even come from? So that's privately. But then maybe with the art, with any project, it's kind of hard to deny. Like, I want to share it. I want to be like, I just finished this. I got to show it to somebody. Like, plus,
like pulling people off the street. Yeah.
Hey, I just hang out the window and I just did this. Did this drawing. So yeah, it is. I feel like if you're not excited about it, who's going to be.
Right.
So
right,
it's a good sign. If I'm feeling kind of, sluggish through the whole thing, and it's feeling like a job or something, or it's feeling like work, what's the point? What am I doing? If I'm getting that excited about it, it's probably a good sign. So
right now, the to me, Static and the character, like the main character, his name is Emmett, right? There's really two main characters. It's really Emmett and Clay. I kind of call him the reanimating scientist. It's kind of like a Dr. Frankenstein type character,
right?
Character.
Exactly.
I don't think I'm giving any spoilers away or anything like that, but they're really interesting characters, and I found myself after finishing the last page that. Number one, that it felt like a story that could absolutely continue, that I hope will continue. But I got to say, more than anything, you start the story making me want to know, what is this guy's story? Not what it turns into. That's already interesting in and of itself. But I was wanting to go, I need to know what happened to him before then. Like, who is this guy? What is this? Like, he has these, he's addicted to this, I don't know if it's a chemical reaction that his, like a physiological reaction he has from these bugs that bite into you, and it's like morphine or something like that. But I just like so the whole time, and he's like driving around in this like sand speeder type craft like Luke Skywalker. Anyway, so is there an opportunity for that you've thought like, all right, I love this character and I want to see what else I can do with him? Is this done?
As it is now, it's probably done. But it's definitely, maybe even more so than the Freak. I feel like I could definitely take this down another road. But part of. So
you're more of a one and done type guy so far, huh?
Yeah, I feel like it's better to. I'm not big on sequels. I just feel like, but I will.
Could be chapters. That's all.
I guess I'm kind of a hypocrite, because the next thing I do, I want it to be. And again, this could change, but I kind of want to do the opposite of that, where I come up with something that's like, I want to be more known for this thing more than anything I've done before. Like, it's going to be my Berserk, like this thing that just goes on and on and on, and it's this, or my Usagi Yojimbo, or a character in a story that can just go on for, and then if I want to, I can just take a break. I can take a break, do something else, and return back to it. Yeah. So
I mean, look at the story of Mad Max. I forget what the guy's name is, but the director and creator of those movies. I mean, he's been there since the very beginning. And I think the first one was like from 1977, and the last one that just came out was a couple of years ago, and it's ridiculously good. I mean, have you seen that? Have you ever seen that? The last one? Insane.
Yeah, so, you can just keep going back to it.
Yeah,
it's his idea.
Yeah, nice. So I'm really hoping that that Emmett does come back around, because I found him to be a really cool character. So I want to get into some of the other things that I find might be pretty helpful to some of the listeners out there who are hoping to get into comic books and stuff like that. For sure. How difficult, if we could be brutally honest, how difficult is it being an independent comic book artist in today's world?
Ooh, well, I mean, it is. Well, everything is relative. I don't want to say it's the hardest thing in the world, but if you want to do it, you can do it. That's what I'll say. I mean, it is. You're not gonna. You're probably not going to get rich, but I think everyone knows that. But, I mean, I like to be more optimistic about it, and it's my passion. I put everything into this, and so I view it that way. Otherwise, if I didn't, I don't know how I'd continue to do it. Sure. You kind of need to be, in my opinion. I I don't know. I see some people's tweets and they sound miserable, but who knows? But they've also been around longer than me, so who knows? Maybe I'll get jaded.
Could be some curmudgeon.
I hope not. I hope someone comes up to me and says, "Hey, dude, just stop doing this because you're miserable. You clearly you hate this." So, but my advice is just, I always tell people, do what worked for me is start small, do those baby steps, do 3 pages, prove to yourself that you can do that, and just through doing that, you'll wow, I did that. Maybe I can do 5.
Yeah.
These leaps are huge leaps.
Yeah.
They really are.
It's kind of like working a muscle too, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Then work your way up to a 1 shot. You'll prove that you can do it. And if you can do it and you want to do it, then do it. I mean, I'm not going to be the person who says, I don't know. I just think there's so many people teetering on the edge of. There are so many people who are so afraid just to try that I don't want to be the one to blow in their direction and they'd fall off the ledge and never even begin to climb back up. You can do it. I'm not just saying that like believe me, I've had things published. I've been Eisner nominated, and I'm not saying that to brag, but
That's
now
a big deal. Huge
I'm
deal,
about to. I'm about
You're
to.
a testament.
I mean, it's more than where I've gotten further than where I was a couple years ago. But my point is, even now, I'm about to try coming up with my next thing. I'm just as lost. I'm just as clueless. I'm just as second guessing every little thing. Like I'll even have days where I'm like, who even cares? Like, why am I going to post this drawing? Like, why would anyone even? It's just a drawing. It's literally just ink on a paper. Mm-hmm. Why would anyone care? It's insignificant. It's not needed in any way. But maybe that's not the most encouraging thing. But I don't know. I just try to look at it.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody goes through that, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
everybody. You're gonna have those days, even if you're never, you never get down or you never second guess anything.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
Yeah.
Anybody's.
Do you commiserate much with other comic book artists? I mean, I know you said that you go to Comic Cons and stuff like that, and that's a good way to definitely meet others in your field at various levels, of course. But I mean, where are you with that? Do you communicate with many other artists out there?
Not that many, to be honest. I mean, I do, on Instagram, Twitter, that kind of thing, but it only goes so far, and especially with the pandemic, the last convention I did was end of 2019, so there's that. I mean, I would like to, mm-hmm. But I mean, I'm also not the most outgoing person ever, so I mean, it's not like my number one skill being social. So and there's that side of it too. So I mean, I don't know. I'm not as much as I would like to, not as much as I should. It's not good to be just alone with your thoughts. Believe it or not, it's not exactly nothing really good comes from that. I mean, mm-hmm. when you're just alone with your thoughts and they just keep going, and you're, lost in the madness of your mind. But I don't know. Am I sounding insane?
No, it's believe it or not, I've been interviewing, and of course, like I said, I've talked to a lot of different artists over the years just as friends and stuff like that, and I've found that it is a common thread. I mean, it's just the way our minds work, and again, it's like we were saying, it's just like kind of going back full circle to what we were talking about earlier today, or earlier in our chat. The nature of our business is to be quiet, or to be quietly working on a project. And so that is another muscle that starts to get worked in sort of, maybe a negative way. And it takes some time to sort of remind yourself, or just a simple reminder, like now, just being in the pandemic as an example, perfect example. We're all working from home for the most part. I mean, starting to get a little bit better now, of course. Mm-hmm. Just having a dog, like I have my dog who like comes and pushes on my elbow, right? And is like, all right, it's time to go outside and have some fun. And even just something as small as that is like, critical for, I think, artists to get out of our heads and remember that there's actual life out there that's pretty amazing. That's not just centralized on that piece of paper that we're working on, Mm-hmm. So it's a common thread. You're not alone in that sense.
Okay. I literally had this nightmare one day where here's the nightmare. It was very short. I'm at this exact desk where I do all the drawing. I get up, and I don't know what compelled me to do this. I go over to the door to leave, and I just see a wall of concrete. And I look at it, I see there's no escape, and I shut it, and I just accept it, and I just go right back to the table.
Wow.
And then I woke up. I woke up right after that. So I don't know what that tells you.
Wow.
I don't know if there's meaning behind dreams.
I bet if you turn that into a 8-panel comic, like like 80% of illustrators and comic artists would raise their hand and say, yes, that I know that feeling.
I've had that dream. I've had that same dream.
Yeah,
it was so vivid too. It was so vivid. I saw the concrete. I examined it.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a minute long, the entire dream. I instantly accepted it. I'm stuck in here.
Right.
And I closed the door, locked it as I always do, came back to the desk, sat down, went right back to work. That's when I woke up. I woke up in a panic.
Oh, wow. Did you go running to the door?
No, I just went back to bed.
You're like, it doesn't matter. I know it's there. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. But just going back to like the common thread of the isolation of being a comic book artist or being an artist in general, I think is very normal. And I know that one of the things that I started to do a few years back was to get friends of mine, or just, they weren't even like really close friends of mine, but I was like, who else is like me in some manner that I'd love to just like get together and have a coffee with, or a beer or something like that, who lives near me that would like to get together. And it turned out that we were able to do that like a few, like 5 or 6 times over the past couple of years. And it sort of obviously dropped when the pandemic hit. But I guess the moral of the story is that it is common for artists to be like that. And I also think it's important to try to pool together other artists when you have time, because it does help to hear other people dealing with the same things you're doing, right? And I found it to be really cathartic, and hopefully we can kick that up again sometime soon, because there's just a ton of value in that.
I need to try doing that more. But
yeah.
You can. But
yeah, when you can, sure. What's your ultimate dream project? If you have one that's tangible, do you have one?
Just doing my own thing.
Yeah.
As long as I'm already doing it, that's the thing. If I can just keep doing what I'm doing, and I can live off that anything on top of that is just what's the saying?
Icing on the cake.
Icing on the cake. That's it. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I would like to do at some point. It would be. I'll be honest. It'd be cool to fulfill those childhood dreams of doing maybe a little Batman run if that's possible, or something. But for the most part, I've found so far that the most satisfying thing is just doing my own book, coming up with my own story. It's not about it being the best thing, or I'm just in my own world. I'm lucky that I get to do that, and if I can keep doing that, I can't ask for more. That's awesome. My dream. That's my dream thing.
That's awesome, man. That's really awesome. Well, dude, we're getting close to time here, man. Let's tell everybody where people can buy the book, and when is it out again?
Okay, so it's called Static. It's from